Hello once again. I'm here with another adding machine from work, which has stopped working. And this is a really important one because this adding machine is used by our bookkeeper, and she relies on her adding machine more than anybody else in the office. Luckily, we obviously have other adding machines. We set her up with one. We set her up with Sharp EL-1801V, but hopefully we can get this one working again because a Sharp EL-1801V is a lighter duty adding machine, and this is a heavier duty unit. It's very large, it's very heavy, and it's got a parallel printer on it. So rather than a single print head having to punch the numbers in one at a time on the page, it's got a great big thing of numbers, and it can punch all the numbers on the page line by line all at once, which makes things a lot faster. So, oh, by the way, new phone, ergo new camera. I got an early Christmas present. I was completely surprised by it. A few months ago, I started considering getting myself a new phone for Christmas, but then in more recent times, I decided against it just because I really don't have the money to put on a new phone. Well, Mom surprised me with a new phone, with the deal that I would give her my old phone, my Moto G5 Plus. My new phone, which I'm using right now to record this video, is a Samsung Galaxy S7, and I am loving it very much. So, we'll see what the video and audio quality is like. Hopefully it's okay. But back to the adding machine. Here's the issue. You go to turn it on, and it makes a quiet buzzing noise, the printer does, and then it displays an error condition, and it's completely unusable. The printer motor has detached from the rest of the printer mechanism. If I do it again here, you just hear a really quiet buzzing noise, a noise that sounds like a motor freewheeling. So it sounds like the motor is not engaged with the rest of the mechanism anymore. My guess right off the bat would be either a gear has either fallen off, or it's become detached from the motor spindle, or maybe a gear has broken, split in half, or broke a tooth. I don't know. But that's what's going on. When the adding machine turns on, the first thing it does is it does a self-test of the printer, and it's able to detect that the printer isn't spinning when the motor's spinning because the printer has a rotary encoder that tells the adding machine what the position of the printer mechanism and all the rubber stamps for the numbers and everything are. And it detects that the printer isn't moving when the motor's moving, and so it knows something's up. And it throws that error condition. And it doesn't look like you can't do anything, not even the feed button works. It's completely unusable. So let's see if we can get this thing working again. It'll probably end up with me disassembling this a bit so I can get to the printer mechanism. And we'll see if we can get this thing working. This is a Casio model DR-210HT. Probably from the early 2000s, and this is the only adding machine. This is the only Casio adding machine in the office. The rest of them are Sharps, except for that one Canon adding machine that I repaired in a previous video, the one that had the dirty power switch. So let's see if after 20 years, this heavy-duty adding machine has finally given it up, or can we get it working again, give it a new lease on life? Let's find out. So with the printer cover housing removed, there you can see it's a parallel printer, ribbon driven, 2-color ribbon, very nice. Similar to the printer used in the Sharp EL-1197P and 1197P3. Although it is a little bit different because it sounds different. I'm wondering if it might have been made by a different company. But anyhow, I found the issue already. Let's see if I can zoom in on that. Down there is the gear for the motor. And you'll see when I power the machine on, it just freewheels, and it's actually slightly engaging with this gear here. So it looks to me like this gear right here has probably slipped outwards a little bit. And we need to push it back in this direction so it can engage with this gear. So, I almost think I could possibly shove a pen or something down there and use that to shove on that gear and see if it pushes inward. So let me find a pen or something similar. Actually, you know what? I've got the perfect thing right here. I've got a little screwdriver here. Let me see if I can just push in on that. Yeah, that was exactly it. I bet it's gonna work now. Let's find out. Ha! Ha! Oh, quickest repair ever. Oh man, that's sweet. So yeah, that gear, zoom on there again, you can see I pushed it inward. You can see the motor spindle sticking out a bit now. Yeah, I just had to shove that gear in. I guess over 20 years, it slowly slipped out and stopped making contact with that gear. Looks good now. Sweet, I love it. Looks like that's all it needed. Now I am a little bit worried about that gear slipping again. I could take something like Gorilla Glue and just glue it to the motor shaft to reinforce it. But honestly, if it took 20 years to do it the first time, I'm almost betting on it taking 20 years to do it again, but I don't know. But at least I know if it does do it again, yeah, so that's what I'll do. I'll leave it because if it does do it again, it's literally a 5-minute fix. So great. All right, that was the quickest repair ever. I thought this video was gonna be a little longer. I expected a broken gear or something. Yeah, anyway, that's great. So what I'll do now is let's put a roll of paper on it and we'll just go through the motions of using this, just briefly demonstrate some of the functionality, give it a shakedown test, make sure it's all good to go, and then tomorrow morning I can bring it back in the office and our bookkeeper will have her trusty adding machine back, and I'm sure she'll be very happy with that. Alright, got paper fed through it. Let's turn it on. The display is very dim. I would not be surprised if this thing... I like how it puts an E there just from entering a number too long. I wonder if I can back out of it. Yes, you can. Very nice. Very dim display. You can see in particular the left and right side is dimmer than the part in the middle. So probably just the cathode of the display is just worn the heck out, running out of emitter material. This thing has probably just stayed turned on continuously for the last 20 years or whatever, so it's no surprise at all. This thing gets heavy use every single day for 8 hours a day almost. But let's give her a try here. So it's an adding machine. It's like any adding machine, and oh, because it's been unplugged, I assume... Oh, of course she has it in the addition mode, so I've actually got to do like that. And that is not what I meant to do. Huh. Why doesn't the... Oh, clear all. There we go. So this C is clear entry, CA is clear all. That's weird that it's called C and not CE. But anyway... I assume it's lost whatever tax rate she said in it. Oh, well, it's got a tax rate in it. It's got a 5% tax rate. Our sales tax is 15%. So I don't know if that's what she said, or is that just a default it goes to after it's unplugged. I don't think this has a battery backup in it at all. But you can see the printer prints really nicely. I'll do some negatives here. Nice bright red print. This thing has a brand new ribbon in it. The original ribbon finally, just the print became very faint, so I purchased a new ribbon and put it in this a few weeks ago. So it's got nice bold print now. But yeah, it's like an adding machine, and whoops, I did that again. If you don't know how an adding machine works, it does not work like a normal calculator. If you try to use something like this like a normal calculator, it's not going to work. If you want to know in depth how an adding machine works. I have a video on that. Search my video on the Sharp EL 1197P and 1197P3 adding machines. That I go into detail of how an adding machine works. But just add some numbers here. Of course, it's in the addition mode, so the last 2 digits it sees as cents. And yeah, do the same for subtracting. And it's got quite a rich decimal mode selector, 643210. And in addition to the adding mode, it's got something I've never seen before, a multiplication mode. I have no idea how that works. So let me see what it does when I use it. Oh, crap. So after my triumphant repair of this thing, the gear worked itself loose again. So I am going to try and glue or epoxy the gear on the motor shaft. So I'm going to have to get the printer apart so I can gain sufficient access to the motor. So I'm going to remove the ribbon here. Just line that up a bit. And I've got it disconnected from power, of course. On the bottom, I see 3 screws up here and no screws anywhere else. So let me just remove these 3 screws and see if that's enough to get the cover off. Oh, I missed 1 screw right here as well. Well, this is what you get after you take it apart. The keys and the keyboard PCB on one half and everything else on the other half. Some plastic clips along the side have to be wrestled free, and then she opens up. And I had to remove a couple of screws right here to get this little bracket out, to get the paper roll holder thingy out. And then I was able to wedge the printer free. The printer is full of old ink, literally caked in it. I had to wipe it down with a paper towel. And there's our motor right there with its gear. So what I'm going to do is, I'm torn between using JB Weld Quick Weld and Gorilla Glue. The Quick Weld's going to be a lot faster. So I might just give that a try just for the heck of it. So I'll pull that gear off, assuming it can be pulled off, and see if I can get a little bit of Quick Weld on the inside of it, shove it back on the shaft, wait a few minutes for it to dry, and then we'll see if this thing is working okay after that. Well, I put a little bit of JB Weld on the shaft, slipped the gear on, rotated it to make sure the JB Weld wasn't going to stick to the motor itself if it leaked out or whatever, and put a little more JB Weld on the end of the shaft, and hopefully that'll keep that gear from slipping out again. Found a date of manufacture on the PCB, tail end of 2005, so this thing is newer than I thought it was. But I've got the printer situated again. I've got to get the little paper bale thing put back on and get the little bracket for that screwed back in here. Then I can button this thing up, screw it back together, and hopefully it'll be working again. Alright, where were we? Yeah, it's got this multiplication thing, which I have no idea what it is. Let me just put a normal number in here. Okay. No clue. Well, it's got that. I'd have to look in the manual, but I am far too lazy. But yeah, a generous feature set there, and then it's got your rounding with more stuff here. I don't know what F cut up, or 5/4 is. I know 5/4 is the rounding. This must mean round up. Cut maybe means round down. And then F means, I don't know what. There's no floating point option on this, so maybe when it's on F, it disables this and it just goes to floating point. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, I think. Wow, the decimal point is so dim. Alright, we've got 4 key memory, very nice. We do have a memory indicator, so do a total there. M diamond means memory subtotal, so show what's in the memory basically. And then M star means memory total. Show what's in the memory and also clear the memory. And you can see the memory is now clear. So just reiterating some stuff that I explained in the other video I mentioned, which I go way into detail about how an adding machine works. The tax plus and tax minus, somebody buys something for 10 bucks. I add tax to it. This is set to 5% tax. I don't know if that's where it's supposed to be or not. But there's your value after tax, $10.50, and you can see on the paper tape here, 5% tax. 10 times 5% is 50 cents. And so you get $10.50. So if I just add a set of numbers here, and I take a total, it prints out the total 15. Add some more numbers, take a total of that. Now when I press grand total, it'll add the two totals, 12 and 15. MU and MD, markup and markdown, a combined subtotal and non-add key. So if I do this, so basically if you press the button without having entered anything on the display immediately beforehand, it gives you the subtotal. But if I enter something on the display and then press the key, it is a non-add key. So it just prints that value onto the tape without actually having done any calculation with it or affecting the total or anything. So it's just a way to print out a number for whatever arbitrary reason, if you're printing out a serial number or whatever. The keys, as you can see, have been worn very shiny. This thing has seen heavy use over the years and is still working after a simple repair. I hope that JB Weld keeps that gear from slipping again. If it does slip again, I'll either have to try something different like Gorilla Glue or whatever, or we'll just end up junking this thing. I don't know. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, we've got the multiply and divide. How does that work on this? I've seen adding machines where the multiply and divide work in a nice fashion, and some adding machines where the multiply and divide don't work in a very nice fashion. But let's see here. 5 times 2 equals, and I can add that, and then we'll add 6 to that, 16, and then 6 times 3 equals 18. This works in a nice fashion, so very, very good. Just multiply and divide there. 50 times 25%. 12.5. So, well, the printer seems to be working now, at least for now. I'll put this back to the way she wanted it. And yeah, I will bring it back into work tomorrow. And hopefully it keeps working. Fingers crossed. So hopefully that gear won't slip off again. But we'll see. So there you go. Quick repair of a Casio DR-210HT adding machine from 2005. After having been in service for 14 years, finally had a problem. It could have been the end of this thing, but we figured it out. No clue as to how reliable the fix will be. Time will only tell, but for now, this thing is working once again and ready to go back into service. I love it.